All right. Well, Alyssa, thanks for being here. Thank you for your time. We have Alyssa VanKeulen here with Pelvic Wellness Co. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And why don't you give the people sort of an elevator pitch of what you do?
Yeah, so I am a pelvic floor physical therapist that works 100% virtually with my clients so that they can really empower themselves to heal their own body. And it takes away like the barriers of childcare, of transportation, and just takes away some of those stressors that cause a little bit more barriers to care.
Nice. Yeah. And so let's go back because I want to figure out how you got here. You started your business last year, right?
Actually, this year.
Earlier this year.
Yep.
And so I want to figure out how we got to there. So you grew up in Minnesota, right?
I did.
Yeah. What was life like for Alyssa growing up?
Yeah, good question. So I grew up in a small town in Minnesota.
How small are we talking?
I mean, it wasn't too small, like 13,000 people.
Okay,
so
that's pretty
not
small.
crazy small, but
Yeah.
small enough. And it was far from any other major city. So
Okay.
we were kind of out there. And I grew up pretty busy. I'm pretty far away in age from my older siblings. And so I was busy with kind of different activities. I was big into dance, so I did a lot of dancing growing up all the way through college.
Was there a good dance studio in your small town?
I mean, relatively, yeah.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
pretty decent.
All right.
And I was on the dance team too, and our dance team was,
Cool.
we were okay. So,
All right.
yeah, it was fun to be a part of that. And then I also did a lot of horse riding, kind of in my more rural, small town.
Yeah.
So
Did you guys have horses or did you have to go
I
somewhere to
did,
ride?
but they were boarded somewhere
Okay.
because we didn't live in the country.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I grew up and how I grew up. And then kind of just got sick of the small town and wanted to
You
do
said
something
you
different.
said you were really competitive too growing up, right?
I was competitive, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did that translate? Were you competitive in every aspect? Horse riding?
Horse
dancing?
riding, school, like
Okay.
definitely through.
Play any sports?
Just dance.
Just dance.
No,
Okay.
I can't throw.
Is dance a sport?
It is a sport.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, all
that
right.
could be a whole nother topic.
Yeah, different podcast episode.
Yeah, exactly.
I would debate. I might disagree with you, but we'll. I haven't given it a lot of
Fair,
thought.
fair.
So let me give it some thought. So,
Fair.
So cool. It's high school. Did you do good academically? Were you pretty
Yeah,
good student?
yeah, I was a good student. I
Okay.
feel like my parents kind of motivated me to be a good student, so I kind of stuck with that. My siblings were also good students, so they were
Okay.
good role models for me, and so I
Kind of had to be.
yeah, exactly. Pressure to be a good student for sure.
I was the youngest, so by the time I got there, my parents didn't care.
Yeah.
So whatever. Like they were really hard on my brother, and they were a little hard on my sister, and then with me, they're just like, if you just
Yeah, whatever.
graduate, I probably like pushed their limitations too of what a parent should and could have to put up with. So I was not a great
That's
student. When you did you go off to school?
I did.
Yeah.
Yep. So I did my undergrad in Minnesota, and then I
Okay.
went out to Oregon to do
Right.
my doctorate. In
Would you get a
PT.
degree in undergrad?
It was just natural science. It
Okay.
was pretty much
What
a
does that
rare.
mean?
Yeah, exactly. What does it mean?
Like university studies?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just like a Bachelor of Arts in Natural Science,
Okay.
which just allowed me to like.
You keep
base-
saying natural science, but I don't know. Is there
I
an
know.
unnatural science? Like, what does that mean? What kind of classes are you taking?
Yeah, good question. So within that major, I was able to kind of take what sciences I wanted to. So I took a lot more like exercise science, kinesiology, because
Okay.
I knew I wanted to go into PT school. So
You
it was
did?
kind of like,
When did you realize that?
I kind of knew in high school that
Oh,
that's
wow.
what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have experience? Like, did you go to a PT? Did you have a good experience or something like that? What encouraged you to do
Yeah.
that?
So I did go to PT like when I was younger because I was dealing with some of those like dance injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a good experience doing that, but I always just kind of enjoyed like using movement as medicine.
Okay.
And so I don't know, I just kind of was always drawn to PT. When I was in high school, I did like a short internship in it and I really enjoyed that. So kind of just stuck with that path
Okay.
and didn't veer from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I always like these people like in high school that know exactly what they want to do. And, you know what I mean? And just like pursue it. Because I still don't really know what I want to do for my job.
Yeah.
You know?
We're all still figuring
When
it
I
out.
grow up, I don't know what I want to do. So I got to figure that out sooner or later, I guess. So I'm a little envious of those who can. So you went out, and then you went out to Oregon.
I did.
PhD in physical therapy. Was it physical therapy? Was it a specialization inside of physical therapy?
So now in physical therapy, to be a physical therapist, you have to get your doctorate degree. And so you have to go to like the schooling after your bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
And so it's just a general program, but obviously different universities have different strengths in different areas too. But really I went to Oregon just because I wanted to do something different and be somewhere different.
Yeah. Why Oregon?
I don't know. It was just beautiful there. When I went to, it was actually in Minnesota at the time. It was the polar vortex. So it was like -50 below.
Oh, yeah.
When I went to interview in Oregon, and I was like, I think I'm going to go here. I don't really want to stay in
like
Minnesota.
anywhere that doesn't have the polar vortex.
Exactly.
I will go. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was just beautiful. So it was fun to explore somewhere different.
Did you check out any like states or any schools in the South at all?
Arizona.
Okay. That's very different than Minnesota.
Yeah. Arizona, Minnesota.
No water in
Oregon.
Arizona. All the water in Minnesota.
Yeah.
No water in Arizona.
Exactly. Very different. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Would have been too hot there, I think.
So, and then tell me about your journey from finishing up in Oregon to ending up living out here in Colorado.
Yeah. So I always kind of knew I wanted to be out in Colorado.
Okay.
Kind of one of those things too. Like, I guess I knew I wanted to be here.
Yeah.
But PT school didn't work out for me here. So I went to Oregon instead. And it just kind of made sense for us to be here just because Minnesota was closer than Oregon was from Minnesota compared to Colorado.
Still a flight away.
Yeah,
but,
still far,
but
more
closer.
doable. And it was just a beautiful state. I mean, love doing everything outdoors from hiking to camping.
Yeah. And when you say we.
Yep. My husband and I.
Okay.
And our dog, of
yeah,
course.
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Fur baby.
Yep. Fur dog for sure.
Love that. So let's talk about a little bit about what the impetus, like what were the variables that made you decide to start your business?
Great question. I mean, there were a few things. One thing is like you said, I kind of had it figured out that I wanted to do PT, but then I got into the PT profession and wasn't necessarily happy with where I was just because I was seeing a lot of people every day. My appointment times were like 45 minutes, which wasn't too bad, but it was just like back to back to back. So I felt like I was getting burned out and not.
So it was like enough time for them, but not any time for you to kind of rest and reset and get ready for the next person.
Yeah. Okay. So then I would come home and I just felt like I was burnt out and then I would do it all over again. Yeah. And I was like, I just can't imagine doing this for, the rest of my life.
For another 40 years.
Yeah. But I love what I do when I'm with the people that I'm helping.
Yeah.
And so
just the environment and the way that it was structured wasn't healthy.
Exactly. Exactly. So I just wanted to kind of curate something different, but I didn't know what that would be. So that's where I kind of had to do some soul searching a little bit and figure out what was next for me. And so I kind of came across someone else online that was doing virtual physical therapy. And I was like, how does that work? Because obviously one part of physical therapy is doing more hands-on stuff.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it and the more I kind of treat my own clients even in person, I kind of started to realize that could be a really good avenue for me, for my health, but also for my clients' health. So that's kind of what veered me towards that. Yeah.
Well, obviously there's pros and cons to each model, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's going to be things that are better for your clients that you can offer. And so it's ultimately what the client wants, right?
Exactly.
And so what the client wants, what your clients need, what your patients need. And if you can meet those needs virtually, then and that works better for you, and that's better for your health and your mental health and your lifestyle. Yeah. Then why would you not? Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So now you use Instagram. That's how we kind of connected. I think. And I think you do a great job of it. How much time and energy in your business are you spending doing that versus like working with patients? Yeah,
great question. I mean, at first it was like all social media because I had no clients, right?
Yeah.
But now that my client load has been increasing, my Instagram has been falling by the wayside a little bit. I mean, I'm still trying to be on top of it, but it's definitely becoming less and less, which I think is a positive thing because I'm seeing more clients, and that's my ultimate goal is to work with people.
Right.
But Instagram's also a way for people to connect with me and to find me. And so I have to kind of stay on top of that as well.
Yeah. You got to foster that community as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you using any other platforms to build community?
I have a Facebook page and I have a TikTok as well, but my Instagram is where I'm definitely the most active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any sort of like Facebook page community or anything like that you're trying to build?
Not yet,
Okay.
but maybe in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a community of people kind of going through the same thing
Yeah.
and kind of trauma bond a little bit
Exactly.
together.
Ask
would probably-
questions and no, I like that idea.
Yeah, that's something I feel like I'm a part of a few of those, like
Yeah.
videographer groups, we can hop in there and, hey, I'm having this issue.
Yeah.
I'm having this problem. Does anybody have any solutions? I need, solution to this problem. Has anybody ever seen this before?
Yep.
We do that a lot. I'm in, 2 or 3 different, and Facebook kind of lends itself more to that like group conversation, than Instagram does.
Definitely.
I feel like it helps you build community.
Yeah. No,
So.
for sure.
So tell me about, so you were doing like general PT, right? How did you decide to specialize in pelvic floor, like women's health?
Yeah, great question. So I knew I always wanted to do PT, but then when I went to when I was in physical therapy school, I was always kind of just interested in like in general in learning about like the women's health side of things throughout like high school and college. But it was always just such a small part of what we actually learned in any of those things. And then when I went to PT school, I was talking with one of my professors that was a pelvic health physical therapist, and I was learning a little bit more from her. And I actually went to like what we call the APTA, which is like a CSM conference, where essentially it's like all of the physical therapists that want to go to this conference go, and it's huge.
Okay.
It was actually in Denver. And I went to a bunch of like talks about pelvic floor physical therapy. And I thought it was so interesting, like all the different connections on all the other things we can do for people, like, discussing not only like pelvic health related things, but like nutrition and lifestyle and hydration. Obviously those things are important with normal rehab too, but it's even more important with that. And I think just the lack of knowledge that people have about the pelvic floor and that it can be helped. So many women live with these things just going on in their life for so long, thinking it's normal, but there's so much that we can do.
I want to ask you about that. Why is that just like an issue that women seem to just like accept as like, oh, this is just how it is, and I'm just going to live with this? Why do they do that versus like actively? Because if they have like some, a spot on their skin, they're not just gonna be like, oh, I guess I'll just live with this. It's like, no, you go and you get it removed, right? If you have an illness, you go and any other problems, you don't just accept it as like your new life, but for some reason I feel like women oftentimes with these types of issues just go, oh, this is just how I have to live now.
Yeah, I think it's just such a taboo thing for people to talk about that. Really? It's a little bit more personal for people.
I guess I can see
people don't really like to talk about, peeing themselves or having pain down there. So it's just a little bit more, I think, uncomfortable for people to share. And I think it's just not as, even like your physician won't necessarily always send you to pelvic floor physical therapy, but if your knee hurts, they're going to send you to physical therapy. I think just that like lack of knowledge in the medical community over time has gotten better, but it's definitely been there. So I think those are some of the main reasons why people haven't sought out care, but it's definitely improving. People are becoming more on top of those things.
Well, that's good. I feel like your content does a good job of like educating individuals, but also just like educating the public and making it a conversation that we can have in public, right? About those things. So it's kind of serving two purposes. It's
definitely.
And that'll help your business ultimately, but ultimately if your goal is to help people get better, right? Help women get better. Yeah. So tell me about like the type of patients that you're seeing. You call them patients?
Yeah, clients.
Yeah. Like what problems are they coming to you if someone's watching this, right? Or listening to this? What are the symptoms that you feel like you can help address and resolve?
Yeah, so anything from obviously like leaking. So leaking with like jumping, laughing, sneezing, coughing,
running.
Or like, running, or even if someone has like urgency to go to the bathroom all the time and they feel like they can't control it. I also help people like with their diastasis. So if they have an ab separation after having kids.
That's not normal.
That's not normal. Well, there can be a degree, like during pregnancy, it can be normal to have a degree of separation, especially in that third trimester. Yeah. Because obviously the baby's got to go somewhere.
Right.
But then after pregnancy, there are a lot of ways that we can help bring that separation together through different, exercises and things like that. So it's not necessarily normal. So because there's a lot of things we can do, but it's very common for people to experience that.
Okay.
Also, anyone who's dealing with like pelvic pain, back pain, or hip pain, are other things that I can help people with too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you talk a little bit about what the difference is between the experience that someone would get coming to you versus coming like your traditional like strip mall physical therapist? You know, if they're having these specific issues, what is their experience going to be like versus them?
Yeah, great question. I mean, for me, it's really important that I give people like the space for me to listen to what they have to say. I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they necessarily have the time when they're with a provider to feel like they're listened to or heard or to tell someone all of the things they have to say. So that's kind of the first thing that I offer people.
Because when they take your call, they can be in their home,
Yeah.
in a quiet, safe place where they're going to feel a little more comfortable than maybe sitting out in the open space or in just a room. There's other people in the room next to them. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So,
they can feel more comfortable.
we just talked about it. It's kind of a private thing, a taboo thing that people don't want to talk about. It's
Exactly.
They think it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. But
Nope, exactly. You don't have to worry about someone, going doing squats for their knee injury next to you while you're talking to your therapist.
Yeah.
So that's always helpful. And then, I mean, I'm someone too it's really important for me to help people feel like empowered in their own body and learn to connect with different parts of their body. So it's different than me just giving you exercises or me telling you to fix these certain things in your lifestyle, but it's more so like, can you connect to this part of your body? Are you engaging your pelvic floor correctly? Are you able to relax your pelvic floor? Are you able to connect with your core correctly? So also teaching people how to connect with their bodies, so then they can carry out what we're talking about to prevent, obviously, things from coming up, but to help them fix what they're currently dealing with too.
I remember what I was going to ask. It's that connecting with their body, feeling disconnected. I feel like a lot of times I feel like I have 3 kids.
Yeah.
I heard that from my wife, feeling like disconnected from their body. Right?
Yes.
And so what does that mean? What does that look like? Like, I don't understand. Help me understand what that means.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, I find that a lot of women, especially if they've had kids or maybe they've even had a C-section, they just feel like, where did my core muscles go? Like I literally just can't even turn those muscles on again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's causing, my back pain, or it's contributing to my leaking, or it's just, I don't feel confident in my body again. And so when I talk about like connecting with your body again, it's teaching your brain to kind of reconnect with those muscles, but then giving them the confidence to be able to, connect to those different parts of their body and like different parts of life too.
Yeah. And everyday life, or just working out, or just everyday life.
Exactly.
Picking your kids up. Yeah. And
yes.
engaging those muscles. They're supposed to be engaged and not just relying on your back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Was there anything else you want to talk about as far as like the difference between when they come to you and, I mean, I feel like there's an element of like, you taking the time, if more time, then they're getting more time with you and getting also access to you more frequently whenever they need it versus I only get to talk to my PT when I show up for my weekly appointment versus, hey, I can reach out to Alyssa. I can shoot her a message anytime I have a specific question.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's been really helpful for a lot of my clients because they do have access to text me or reach out to me with anything rather than, me sending them home with just 5 exercises to do and they do them and they're like, I don't know if I was doing it right the whole week. Right. I'll have people send me videos of them doing it. I'll have them text me if they're...
You can almost coach them in real time.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, does this look right to you?
Yeah.
And you're like, go lower.
Like, no, yeah, let's address that a little bit more. And so that's one thing that's really important to me as a provider.
And they'll see progress a lot faster that way.
Yeah, I've had a lot of my clients get better faster than I even thought they would too, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And that they thought they would. So that's been pretty awesome to see how they can transform so quickly. And I think a lot of that comes from obviously their motivation, their investment in themselves, and then also just that ability that we can kind of communicate in real time.
And then as far as like the business side goes, like if you're doing things virtually, your overhead is way smaller. Yeah. Which you're just going to be able to kind of pass that cost savings on to your clients. Obviously, you're giving them like a very like high level, personal touch. So there's going to be an expense to that because it's custom and it's one-on-one, but you can kind of compensate that cost because you don't have a ton of overhead.
Yeah. And that was one thing. I knew I wanted to start my own practice eventually. And when I was kind of debating if I wanted to do in-person or virtual or a hybrid approach, that was one thing where I was like, the overhead costs seemed like it would be overwhelming for me. So I was like, I think the virtual space would be a really awesome place to get started in.
And you can do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So you can go visit your family in Minnesota. You can still work, you can take extended vacations build in some work time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's great. I'm kind of jealous, honestly. For someone who's watching or listening who might be suffering from some of these issues and maybe didn't even realize it, that there were solutions, what are just like some easy wins? What are some things that you find yourself recommending to like, you know, almost all of your patients? Are there anything that like easy things that they could be doing to like better their situation?
Yeah. So, I mean, basic things like, I think a lot of people don't take time for themselves, especially new moms or people that have kiddos. Yeah. So even just taking time for yourself to move your body, go on a walk, just stay active, because our body doesn't like to be still, I think is one thing that's important. Taking time to focus on like your nervous system and your stress levels. There's a lot of correlation between the stress in our body and how your pelvic floor reacts. And so that can contribute a lot to those symptoms.
What do you recommend for people to do those things?
Yeah.
Your nervous system. How do you
how do we fix that? Focusing.
Get rid of anxiety? How do you do that?
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't we all want to know? Breath work can be really helpful, obviously, for decreasing that nervous system or decreasing that heightened nervous system, but also just to like help your pelvic floor relax. The pelvic floor and the diaphragm sit right on top of each other. So when we breathe, our pelvic floor relaxes. So that can be kind of a 2-for-1 approach to helping with some of those things. I think there's also a lot of benefit in even just, understanding what brings you joy and, taking time out of your day to like go for a walk, listen to music, whatever that may be, which can obviously help with that stress aspect as well.
Those are good.
Yeah.
I like that. So how, as with the way that you structure your virtual business, what do packages and pricing, like what should people expect if they reach out to you? Like how do you structure all of that?
Yeah, great question. So I want to have something that works for everyone, and I'm kind of continuing to work on finding that good balance for, finding something that works for everyone. But when I'm working one-on-one with people, my goal is usually to start working weekly with each other. So we're meeting weekly. You're having those exercises updated every single week, or if we need to update things midweek, we can always do that. So that option is obviously at a little bit of a higher price point, and it's on a monthly basis. Okay. And then usually, though, I don't like to just, work with people weekly for a couple months and then just say, see you later. I want to make sure that they're doing really well on their own too. So usually as time goes on, we'll kind of decrease to every other week and go from there.
Okay. Kind of slowly phase them out.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's kind of like, unfortunately, it's a good thing, but like if you're doing your job well, you're constantly losing clients.
Yeah. So
how, other than Instagram right now, how are you getting clients?
Yeah. So I do a weekly webinar where I obviously discuss, the pelvic floor, why people are experiencing these things, start to give them some of those, tips and tricks that I talked about earlier to help them. And then
you do a presentation every week?
Every week.
A new presentation?
I do.
Is it kind of the same topics?
Usually.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually it's the same, topics every week. It's called Conquer Your Leaking, Conquer Your Life.
Nice. That's a good title.
Yeah. And so on there, I obviously get to connect with a lot of different people. And so that's another way I've been growing my business.
Do you do that webinar? Is it pretty interactive?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we have like a Q&A portion, and there's a chat function so people can ask questions throughout or maybe elaborate more on their situation so I can give them a little bit more insight from there too.
Oh, that's great. What a great resource. And it's free?
Yeah, it's free. Yeah.
Okay.
I've really enjoyed them too. It's been fun.
That's cool. When do you do those?
I do them.
I won't hold you to this. But,
usually a Tuesday or Wednesday evening, depending on the week.
Okay.
At like 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. And I bet, have you had good feedback from those?
I have. Yeah. I've gained a lot of clients, and feedback wise, I think every single week that I do it, I feel better about it. And I think the interaction between people on the webinar gets better.
Okay.
And so, it's been great.
Do you have any plans to do other webinars about other topics or anything?
I think so. In the future, I'd really like to do a little bit more focused on like pregnancy and postpartum recovery. So hopefully down the road that'll come too.
And have you done any like public speaking or like anything at conferences or anything like that?
I am not. No,
Really?
I am not a huge public speaker. Maybe some.
Seem to be doing
I know
fine
I'm here.
just now.
Hopefully, down the road that would be awesome to be more a part of that. But right now it's just the webinars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And tell me about what else is like on the horizon for you. What are you looking forward to? Where do you see your business a year from now?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. It's one of those things where, you got to dream big.
Sure. You got to manifest it.
Exactly. So I definitely want to be completely full-time. I'm at the point right now where I'm pretty much on that tipping point of being able to leave my part-time clinic job and be full-time with this virtual business, which is awesome. Yeah, and exciting. So my goal is to obviously grow my caseload so I can continue to help as many women that need my help as possible. But then I'd also love to mentor like other pelvic floor physical therapists out there to help them obviously build their business and help people online as well. Cool. And so that's something that I'm hopefully kind of working towards as well.
Yeah. Do you have any like dreams of building like a community like we talked about? Like I feel like just a place where women can go and talk about these things.
Definitely. I think that'd be awesome because I think I even have clients, like current clients right now, where they were like, I didn't know what to do. So I went on Facebook and I looked up these groups and I was asking questions and stuff like that. So I think it would be awesome to have a community for people to discuss those different things. And
then having an expert like you being able to chime in.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Say, hey, this is normal. Here's what you should do. And kind of give people tips.
Exactly. So. Give them a little bit more feedback. And I think even having like a program that's more accessible for lots of people in my future would be awesome. So, whether that's like a
course.
Yeah, like recovery postpartum, here are the exercises, and let's check in maybe once that month, just to have other options for people too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you could maybe make some videos.
I could. I know some people.
I might know someone too. I'll give you a referral. I have their number memorized.
Perfect.
Somehow. So awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to share before we wrap up?
I guess one thing I would say is if you're dealing with any of these things, don't let them get in the way, because I find that so many women live with these concerns holding them back. And then I have people in their 50s and 60s come to me and say, I wish I would have done this sooner, but I didn't know. But I also don't want it to get worse because they're seeing their parents, as they age, deal with these things. And
Is it ever too late to start fixing the problem?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there's lots we can do. I've had people that, have had these issues for 30 years or, 5 days. And so obviously the sooner we address it, the more likely it is to get better quicker.
Yeah.
But even if you've been dealing with it for a long time, there's a lot we can do.
What are like some of the worst cases that you see?
I have some people right now that are dealing with like what we call fecal incontinence. So that's when they're having like obviously loss of stool.
Okay.
And that can obviously be very debilitating. Yeah. Or people that have just like, they have no control or no feeling of losing like or leaking urine. And so when people get to that point where they're not necessarily able to feel that that's happening in their body, it gets a little bit harder for us to treat those things. We still can, but again, it just takes a little bit longer.
Does that impact their like sexual life as well?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And even people, like I work with a lot of people that deal with pelvic pain with intercourse too. Yeah. And so obviously that can take a lot of stress on your life and impact your relationship too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Well, if that's you, this is your girl. All right. Let's wrap up. I want to ask you just some fun, rapid fire questions.
Deal.
Hey, stop cheating. She's reading ahead. Hey, now. All right. What's your favorite guilty pleasure?
Ooh, man, that's a hard question. I would say, I'm gluten-free, but I'm a sucker for like a good chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, me too.
Gluten-free though. Yeah.
It's got to be gluten-free chocolate
I know,
chip
which
cookie?
is sad.
I think that's an oxymoron.
I know.
A good gluten-free cookie.
I know, it's hard to find.
Can you make them?
You can, yeah.
Have you ever made them?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they taste pretty good.
Taste all right?
Yeah.
All right. I like my chocolate chip cookies with extra gluten. All right. If you had one superpower, what would you want? What would it be?
I think it would be to be invisible.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I always worry about when people say that. It's kind of like, that's kind of creepy.
I think I just want to like sneak on
motivations?
planes so I could like fly all these different places and travel.
You could
that's
also,
the main thing.
Flying is actually a superpower.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I kind of have a fear of heights.
Planes.
Yeah.
Because then you just have to like stand in the aisle or hope there's an empty seat. And
that's
don't
true.
bump into
That's
anybody.
true. Yeah.
I guess you could hide away in like cockpit or something.
Yeah,
just
true.
Reach over and bump the controls every now and then.
Yeah, that might
see
freak
what
them out
happens.
a little
What does
bit.
this switch do?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just choose fly?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit afraid of heights. I'm not like a
fly
huge
at a
fear.
low altitude.
That's true.
I think if you can fly, you get over it.
Yeah, I probably
because you
would.
can land.
I probably would. I could do flying too.
I feel like wasn't there a superhero that could fly but he couldn't land?
I don't know.
I forget. Justin. Nothing?
I think there's like origin stories and them trying to figure out how to land. But
What was the one with Will Smith where he was a superhero?
Hancock.
Didn't he have a hard time landing?
Well, he was drunk.
He was drunk. Okay, that's why.
Makes sense.
It is hard to land. Okay, this is a weird one, but
Okay.
would you rather have lettuce for ears or a carrot for a nose?
I think lettuce for ears. I have long hair, so I could cover
Cover it up. There you go. You can't cover up a carrot.
Yeah, no.
But just makeup, it's still sticking out.
Yeah,
it could
no.
be a baby carrot.
It's true.
That
It's
wouldn't be
true.
so bad.
No.
All right. Do you have a favorite holiday and why?
I would probably say Christmas.
Okay.
My parents always just made Christmas a big
Cliche.
deal. I know, it is cliche.
It
but
is great.
Christmas
It's
Eve.
a great holiday.
Christmas Eve.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Did you guys do something special? Did y'all open up presents on
Open
Christmas
up
Eve?
presents and
We would
have
do
family
one
over.
present on Christmas
Okay.
Eve, which I kind of like.
That is kind of nice.
Yeah, just
wait
like
for
a little
Christmas
teaser.
morning.
A little
Yeah.
teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Santa would bring stuff that night, and my parents some of the other things we get to open that morning.
Yep.
But one little present on Christmas Eve, and it was always like something that you could do that night. It was just their way of entertaining us for,
Yeah.
for the night.
No,
or
it's
whatever.
perfect.
Mine's actually July 4th. We just had it.
Yes.
I mean,
What'd you do?
you know, our little neighborhood just does an awesome job. We do a bike parade in the morning.
Okay.
There's like a fire truck. And so my 3-year-old son just like
Yeah.
freaks out and loves it. And so we do a bike parade in the morning. And then we go to the pool. They do a big pool party. They do a cookout. So we do that, come home, chill, you know, cut up a watermelon, play in the front yard, play with all the neighbor kids come out and everyone's just like hanging out.
Yeah.
And then a couple different neighbors on the street will all drive up. Well, actually, I don't know if I should say that. They drive around. They drive across state borders and get good fireworks.
Nice.
And they do their own little fireworks show just on our street. So we have a ton of little kids out here on the street. We all just like hang out in the front yards. I had my fire pit going. We had little fireworks that the kids could pop. Then they started popping the big ones when it got really dark. And
Yeah.
we did s'mores over the fire and stuff
Fun.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's just super fun. I love the community. Everyone comes out and hangs out together. So
Yeah, 4th of
that's
July
what
is a
it's-
good
it is a good
holiday
one.
too.
It's my
I would
favorite.
agree.
And it's like warm. You can go swimming. It's not like 2
Yeah.
feet of snow outside.
Yeah.
All right. Last time we hung out, we were shooting for you guys, and you went to a concert. How was the concert?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yes, huge fan of Noah Khan.
Yeah. Sorry about his pickleball injury.
I know, it's sad.
That
He
was
still
funny.
played though.
And then, was he injured at the concert you went to?
No.
He wasn't?
Not
Okay.
here.
Okay.
No.
I think it happened afterwards.
After, probably.
All right, but give me the perfect concert lineup. Who's opening? Who's in the middle? Who's closing that concert?
I would say Noah Khan's opening.
Okay.
Love Noah Khan, but I have some other bigger artists
Sure.
I think I would appreciate more.
It could be living or dead too. By the way,
Okay,
if that
okay.
changes it.
I think most of my favorite artists are living still.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a big Ed Sheeran fan. So
Okay.
I would say Ed Sheeran.
Okay.
Also, and then I think I have to end with Taylor Swift.
Okay.
I know,
Swiftie.
basic. I know.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
She just puts
popular.
on a good
She's
show.
popular for a reason.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And so, awesome. Well, let's wrap up. Tell people where they can find you online. I imagine you want people to find you on Instagram.
Yeah, that's where I'm located. So you can find me at AlyssaVK.dpt on Instagram.
Cool.
I also
And
have
we'll put
like
that in the show notes.
yeah,
for you.
perfect. And then I have a Facebook page just under Dr. Alyssa VanKeulen. And then I am also building a website, so stay tuned for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. If it's ready, we'll put it in the show notes by the
Deal.
time this goes out.
Deal.
And the best place for them to reach out is Instagram.
Instagram, yeah. I
Hit
also
you up
have
on Instagram.
yeah,
Okay.
on Instagram in the bio.
All right. If you're leaking, this is your girl. She can help you.
Yes, I gotcha.
Cool. Awesome, Alyssa. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.